Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, but maybe not in the way you're used to. We're not getting into price charts or trading strategies, nope. Instead, we're diving into a really fascinating, kind of mind-bending argument that frames Bitcoin as a historical and technological breakthrough. We're talking on the same level as clean water or even antibiotics. So yeah, let's get into it.
And to really get our heads around this, let's start with a crazy question. One that was actually put to the technologist Michael Saylor. What if, tomorrow, Bitcoin just, poof, vanished from the face of the earth? Who would really be affected? According to the material we're looking at, the answer has almost nothing to do with finance bros and everything to do with human survival.
Because see, to understand why this matters, we can't just look at the last decade. We've got to zoom way, way out. We have to look at the last 10,000 years of human history.
And that brings us to part one of this whole idea. For pretty much all of our time on this planet, humanity has been fighting a war against what you could call dirty inputs. I'm talking about all the things in our physical world that made life short, brutal, and just hard. Okay, just look at this number. 31. That's it. That was the average life expectancy. It's easy to just shrug and say, well, that's just how things were back then. But the argument here is that this wasn't destiny. It wasn't because of our genetics. It was because of our environment.
And if 31 wasn't shocking enough for you, get this. A 40% infant mortality rate. The reason for all this suffering wasn't some cosmic mystery. It was very real, very tangible stuff. Dirty food, dirty water, dirty energy. People literally worked themselves to death. You know, the wealthy back then often died from diseases caused by drinking wine all the time because the water itself was just too contaminated to drink. The problem was never a lack of will to survive. It was a lack of technology.
And this is the hopeful part, right? We didn't just accept our fate. We are inventors. We engineered our way out of the muck. Every single one of these things, clean water, antibiotics, electricity, was a giant technological leap that cleaned up our world and, in turn, gave us longer, healthier lives. These are the real heroes of the human story.
So, that leads to the next really crucial part of this argument. It suggests that there's one more dirty input we've been struggling with this whole time. One that's just as destructive, but it's hidden in plain sight: our money. The idea is that money as we've known it is a fundamentally defective technology.
Now, to really get this, we have to kind of redefine money. Don't think of it as just dollars or coins. Think of it as economic energy. It's your stored time. It's your life force, the value you create through your work saved up. It's the stuff that lets your family, your business, and your community actually survive and plan for a future.
But here's the problem. Our technologies for storing that precious energy have been, frankly, terrible. And this is not a new issue. I mean, look at history. It's just a long, sad story of currency collapses and hyperinflation from Rome to modern-day Venezuela. Every time it happens, generations of that stored economic energy just evaporates.
Okay, now this slide has a really powerful analogy. Think about a type 1 diabetic. Their body can't properly store organic energy, glucose. So without insulin, they can eat all day long, but that energy just dissipates. It doesn't get stored, and they literally waste away. The argument we're exploring is that for all of history, humanity has had the exact same problem, but with economic energy. We've never had a reliable way to store it where it couldn't be inflated away or just straight up confiscated.
And this is where the story takes a turn. We go from this ancient, unsolvable problem to a potential solution. After thousands of years of broken, defective money, a new technology shows up, presented here almost like a gift to the world from its mysterious creator, Satoshi Nakamoto.
So what exactly is this big breakthrough? Well, it's the creation of a new kind of property, something that's purely digital, that you can actually hold yourself without needing a bank or a government or anyone else to say it's okay. It's a technology that lets you, as the source material puts it, tightly bind economic energy to your person.
And this is what that promise looks like in the real world. Step 1, you actually, truly own it. It's yours. Step 2, that means no one can just take it from you. And step 3, you finally get to keep your life force, your economic energy, without it constantly leaking away. It's about finally solving that storage problem.
Okay, so let's just run with this idea for a second. If we now have a technology for clean money, what happens next? What are the real consequences? How could this actually change things, not just for our own lives, but for the lives of our companies, our communities, our entire civilization?
Well, take a look at this. The average lifespan of a corporation today is somewhere around 15 years. That's it. They basically die an early economic death.
The theory here is that a system built on sound, uninflatable money, what they call a Bitcoin standard, would allow companies, and the families that depend on them, to think and plan and thrive, not for a decade, but for a century or even longer.
And that claim isn't just wishful thinking, there's some simple math behind it. For thousands of years, gold was the best we could do, but we're always mining more of it, so its supply inflates by about 2% a year. Over time, that gives gold an effective half-life of about 35 years. Every 35 years, it loses half its value. Bitcoin, on the other hand, has a totally fixed supply. Its debasement rate is 0, so its theoretical half-life? Forever.
So why does any of this matter? Well, if you live in a country with a stable economy, this might all sound a bit abstract. But the argument is that for the billion or so people on this planet who live under collapsing currencies or authoritarian rule, this isn't a debate. It's a lifeline. It's a way out of what is otherwise destined economic misery.
Which brings us all the way back to that incredibly powerful analogy we started with. For a type 1 diabetic, insulin isn't just a cool invention. It's a life-saving technology. It fixes a fundamental flaw in their biology. The argument we've walked through today frames Bitcoin in the exact same way, as a critical, life-saving technology for anyone suffering from the fundamental flaw of broken, dirty money.
And so, that's the final question we're left with. We all know how technologies like clean water and antibiotics totally change the game for human civilization, for our very lifespans. The provocative idea we've explored is that clean money could be the next great leap on that same scale. Is this a tool that could extend the life, not just of people, but of families, of businesses, and of whole civilizations? That's the idea we'll leave you with.